Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. As yesterday when I hammered home about, I hammered always success leaves clues, and I tease and taunt and the audiences, which are not just the groups, but when I go to schools, etc. And they read a lot of books. In this room, I can't even imagine how many fucking books you meatheads have read. But anyway, and you read one book, and then you read Charlie Munger's book, and then you read Elon Musk's book, and then you read Jeff's book, and Bill, I don't know how many books Bill's read or written. And so the average guy that comes through here has probably read as many as 50 books. And there's from arguably, ostensibly, a lot of successful people. Some are luminaries, and some aren't. Some are 2, 3, 4 trick ponies. They've written 2, 3, 4 books. Some have written, there's guys that have written 15, 20 books. Like Peters, from the 80s, and still writing books. And they're all worth something. And maybe giving them the benefit of the doubt, maybe there's one kernel of knowledge in the book. Maybe one. Sometimes a couple. I think that the words of Charlie Munger, whose personality is very much like mine, is got a lot of kernels. But they're listening to him now more, and I wish he'd live another 20 years, Charlie. But he's right at the end of his life cycle, in his late 90s. But he's been saying the same shit for 50 years. Not dissimilar to myself. Some of us get a run towards the end of their life cycle. I'm not as old as he is, but you continue to read them, but you take no action. This room, not just this room, but almost all the rooms, giving you a slight benefit of the doubt because it's the hardcore, only a slight. We cover no new material here. So this is less of a good buy than the first seminar. This is on a discounted cash value. This is minus the seminar worth. And of course, other notables, not as notable as myself, say that people don't look at that. They don't look at it that way. And I've said this many times, you think reading books is taking action. And even just for a microsecond, just if you didn't think that, then you wasted a lot of time. I used to ask, and we used to debate this, kind of a debate. Now, we don't even have debates here because, when I get tired of hearing your shit, I just shut you up and I move on. So it's not really a debate. But, so you wasted a lot of time. We don't have any 19-year-olds, and we certainly don't have any 14-year-olds like the Carlings are bringing in a couple of months. They're the next slide, by the way. I'm pointing at them as if they're there. But that's not taking action. I like a terminology or a quip that Warren started maybe 10 years ago. It's like winking at a girl in the dark. She doesn't know you're winking, does she? Your efforts heretofore are like winking at a girl in the dark. It's hard to get laid winking at a girl in the dark unless you jump on her and do bad things to her, But normally speaking, that will get you no results. So most people that are on my website, there was about 10,000 people on the website yesterday, which is pretty good for a Christmas Eve. There'll probably be 5,000 on today because everybody's doing all the things that I tell you you shouldn't do. But since all the material is free on the website, and the first seminar is just a reiteration of all the free material, basically, you ostensibly get, not ostensibly, you get the thumb drive and you get some templates. All those templates are free on Reddit, the black web, you name it. every fucking thing that I've ever produced in my 28 and a half is on the web, online someplace. Someplace. So if it really worked, you could find it. Even that thing, that magic thing that Andres has produced, that thing for the board meetings, that's online. And so then this is not a reiteration of the first seminar. We do some, I don't call it role playing, when they get up and you present. Some of your presentation skills are okay at best. The biggest difference I see is in James, because I've known him 27 years now, that seems like, and I've seen him, and he speaks pretty well now. He speaks pretty well. And he said he went to improv. And James followed my instructions to a T, until they went out to hustling deals, and then he hit some speed bumps and he got diverted. Anyway, be that as it may. But guys, and for the benefit, and this is not my Christmas message, so don't get confused here. We're coming on to a new year. And I looked at Twitter about 3 minutes, and I saw Logan Paul, who I was on his show a couple years ago, just before Corona. And he made a comment that is really pretty germane. He felt that 2021 he was living his life legitimately. Now, I'm not giving him more benefit than he deserves, because he's a crazy kid. But I mean, he said what he wanted to say, to whom he wanted to say it, and he had no reservations. Now, some of it was acting, because he was going to fight in the ring and he'd get paid a lot of money. But people say about me, a Hall of Famer, a double Harvard degree Hall of Famer up there. This is back in the 90s. Mr. Peña says words that we dare not even to think in our subconscious. Some of you in this room would not say shit if it was in your mouth. And how's your program worked out? A couple of you are delusional enough to think your program's worked out well. He's one, right here in the corner. Some of you know your program hasn't worked out, so you brought your deal here, which is fine. And we've gone through it. And, it's like when the one German was beating up on the other German. But I'm going to, most of his answers were, but. I hope and pray. And if he came here to practice, and so when he gets out and is really doing it, the answers are not, but, then it was worth him coming here. But if you don't have the answers, more importantly, if you're not, and a lot of you have boards, which I'm happy about the boards, but I'm shocked that they haven't grilled you and prepared you better and asked you harder questions. Now, in some cases, you haven't brought it to the board yet, because you're embarrassed. Maybe you're embarrassed, so you bring it here, which hopefully, you'll get the answer. So then when you bring it to the board, you're not as embarrassed as much. That's giving you the benefit of the doubt. And then, and some of you went to the seminar 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but mostly in the last 3 years, last 36 months, more or less. And there were a lot of reasons. When the guys were here, and we got shut down, and then Corona, and there was I think I canceled the summer hardcore a year or two ago, whenever it was. So there was a reason why there was a separation hardcore. I understand that. And some of you went out and went deals. The slum landlord went out and did 3 mini slum deals. So and that's great. Okay, and he's building up to a big slum deal, which if he takes a 50-pound cut a month, he can flip to the fucking council, who are morons. I explained this whole deal in a half a sentence. Now, remember how long he was up there stuttering? I told you, if your communication skills, maybe this is my Christmas message, if your communication skills got 5% as good as mine, you're a billionaire. And then I reframed that information. I said, if they get 1%, I looked up at there, 1%, you're a billionaire. Not even 1%. Goins went to improv, and it's noticeable in his presentation skills. It's absolutely noticeable. And but for those of you that have boards and you showed them the deals and they didn't critique them like you were critiqued here, you got the wrong board. I'm guessing you got the wrong board anyway. But since you presented information that shouldn't have come out of your lips if you had a board and you used them. Now, that's a big if, because most people don't go to their board because you don't want to sound idiotic. I had a couple more calls last night. God help me. Anyway, and he said, what did so-and-so say? Well, I didn't tell him. What did so-and-so? Well, I haven't shared that with him. Okay, I didn't ask anymore because I figured that if he didn't tell the chief legal officer and our CFO, well then fuck nobody. I mean, which are the two primary ones you go to normally. We can, for the successful people, their testosterone is increased, but we can't grow balls for you here. And again, the questions you asked the Carlings yesterday, there wasn't one good question, especially from numbnuts over here, Dumkov. Not one fucking good question. I would have asked them how you got the first deal. Well, they explained one. He stumbled into one good question when he said he was in a hotel with their lawyer and they saw administrators and were running through. So they connected the dots. Most of you would still be sitting there. They connected the fucking dots. Fuck! Somebody must be going bankrupt. And that's what administration means here, bankrupt. And they jumped on the deal and they got the deal. And they got on the short list. And they got the deal and they saved 150 jobs, yada, yada, yada. But the other questions, other than they were a successful couple, weren't really germane. So, success leaves clues. And I've added the phrase in recent months, believing is seen as believing. And the primary reason for the webinars today is not the reason that I started them many years ago. I started many years ago because you could relate to a regular person. I thought. I was wrong, though. A regular Joe. And today we're going to see Peter, the hospital magnate, and who I thought was as normal a human being that we've ever come through here that got super rich as normal. He didn't have any attributes. He didn't speak that well, although I'm told he speaks eloquently in Hungarian. I don't know that, okay? I got to take that on somebody's word. And that didn't work. Originally, I put up Josh Kim. Well, fuck, if a 17, 18-year-old kid could do it, I mean, everybody should relate to that. And God, he's got no education. He's got no qualification. His only asset is a 15-speed fucking bicycle. I was wrong about that. Because then you thought he was fucking Michelangelo. So at the end of the day, as Graham said yesterday, live, that they just did it and they followed the steps. He said it 4 or 5 times. And the reason they say that, guys, is because they're the only ones that are successful. They follow the steps. I'm not saying the slum landlord's not going to be successful. I'm not saying that. But that's not our model. There's 100,000 of his ethnicity in the greater London area or southern England that are doing exactly what he's doing. At least 100,000. Remember, if you can't be first, you got to be different. And even though this kid doesn't believe me, I know there's 100 people doing what he's doing. At least 100. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. If you pay the kind of money that you think is a lot of money, which is not, and you don't listen to what I say, it's just like you reading those books that you never took action on. Why? Because you're not where you want to be in life, and either in your gut, in your heart, in your brain, or your wife, or significant other, what are we going to do the rest of our lives? Sit in this two-bedroom apartment that we rented from the slum landlord? You got to do something. So you pretend, and that's why I call you pretenders. Graham didn't say as part of his story that's in the article in the. Put the next slide on. Oh, it's me. Excuse me. In that article, he talks about how he lived in council flats when he got started, and he bought his wife a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, whatever that book is. Okay, and that was the beginning of their trip to success. And then he failed at 4 or 5 things, and etc. But that was maybe 20 years ago. And then he found me about 5 years ago. But reading those books and reading and having the USPs and the templates, which you could have got without coming here. Now I'm told categorically there's no comparison between listening to the tapes and me in person. I understand that. And there probably is no comparison for if you get the stuff on the dark web or Reddit or wherever, than actually hearing me say it here or hearing people say it. But we have people that are multi-billionaires that I never met. 99% of all the people that have created my $1 trillion, I never met. How is that? I never met, never touched, never screamed at, I'd like to scream at, 1 million people. That would be fun for me, not for the million. We've created in excess of 1 million millionaires without meeting them. So that means they either read or heard me and they took action the way the steps say. Now, we do have a couple billionaires that I've got at least 2 crypto billionaires. I had nothing to do with it. And they decided to fade what I said as part of their portfolio. Well, let's do 10% of what Peña says not to do and see how it works out. Well, it worked out for them. They're multi-billionaires because of QuickFuck. They were multi-billionaires when it was 20,000 a coin. So I don't know how much. Now they stopped throwing it in my face. Now they got tired of throwing it in my face. So but guys, this is the 3rd day. It's Christmas. We're doing something that 99.9% of the planet's not doing. Okay? When we came downstairs, my wife asked Mr. Adelaide, are they having Christmas dinner right now? I think was the question, something like that. And he said, yeah, they're so many hours ahead, whatever. And last night I only had 7 emails. Because just like I say, you'll never exceed your highest and wildest dream. In the old days, the guys used to say, and the reason why I wrote the book, 100 million, because the first 100 million is a bitch. It's hard. After that, it's pretty easy for all the reasons. Just like you got your deal financed, because you've already been successful. and now people say billion, and then they say billions, and once in a while, one of you guys will say, I want to be a trillionaire, And that's getting more reasonable because now you've got guys worth 150 billion, 200 billion, et cetera. So somebody, down the road is going to create a $1 trillion company, not like the $1 trillion that I created to, 1 million of you meatheads. But normally, if you say 100 million, and I've said this a couple times already this week, your brain internally, your brain doesn't know you're full of shit, your subconscious. It starts to slow down, and at 85, 90, 95, 98 million, you fall across the goal line at 100 million, 50,000. But most of the people that say, and remember when we did goals in the regular seminar, they say, they said 500 million, they make 110 million, I never hear from them again. Because it's rhetoric. They're words that you read out of somebody's book or listened to on a podcast, but they're not you what you want. But in personal development, it's like in the 70s, doing cocaine, everybody's involved in some sort of development to make themselves better. Wellness, whatever you want to call it. And how are their programs worked out? They haven't. They haven't. Last night, forget last night, I wanted to say, you heard Graham live and his lovely wife yesterday. When they came to me 5 years ago, their turnover was a little less than £1 million. Their turnover now is 120. I've been saying 106. I don't know where I got 106. I think 106 in AOL together. I don't know why in my brain is 120. They've got about 850 employees. They saved 150 or 60 employees down the road here, and they're the darlings of Scottish business right now. And they're going to be the darlings of my political foundation going forward. If I could take this and create this, what could I do with a state, a county, a country? Because I'm not afraid to upset people. And on top of it, I get off on it. I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to say people shit their pants in not this room, the other room. That makes me feel good. And we haven't anybody shat themselves in a while. So I'm either getting softer, which is what Sally says, because you're not getting tougher. Okay, YouTube. Bye-bye.